What's going on, everybody? This is your tour guide around SWAC C Wells coming at you with another video today. Y'all make sure y'all lock in with us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and become a part of the SWAC Talk family by becoming a member. 99 cents gets you a membership to the YouTube channel. We have special perks coming at you. We're going to be dropping special members only videos and shorts. I'm going to have rants and reactions to different things that I want to put there. So if you want to get everything, man, become a member of the Swag Talk crew for 99 cents and get down, man. And so we're going to still be bringing y'all a lot of stuff, swag smoke and everything like that, and all our normal videos. But we also bring y'all that membership tier. So get down with that. Check out the Facebook and Instagram, both Swag Talk, Twitter Swag Talk 76. And now let's get on with the show, man. Let's do it.
Welcome to the show, see Bojo guy. Wednesday, Sundays, catch the ride. Football hoops, we breaking wide. Stats and facts, truth on high. SWAT talk where the convo's real. From Texas to Florida, we seal the deal. Just pull up, the vibes are real. Chopping it up, we spin the wheel. Hit the corner of the field, we strategize. Breaking the game down, no disguise. Play by play, we analyze. I wear sharp, we magnify. SWAT talk where the convo's real. From Texas to Florida, we seal the deal. Just pull up, the vibes are real. Chopping it up, we spin the wheel. Wednesdays, heat, Sundays, ignite. We talking legends shining bright. Back and forth, day or night. This the plug, we bring the light. SWAT talk with the convo's real. From Texas to Florida, we seal the deal. Cats pull up, the vibes are real. Chopping it up, we spin the wheel. Wednesdays, heat, Sundays, ignite. We talking legends shining bright. Back and forth, day or night. This the plug, we bring the light. SWAT talk when the convo's real. From Texas to Florida, we seal the deal. Cats pull up, the vibes are real. Chopping it up, we spin the wheel.
All right, everybody, what's going on, man? How y'all doing? Welcome to today's edition of Swag Talk, show cover the swag inside and out. Of course, I am your tour guide, T. Wells, coming at you, and we are going to recap uh, uh, week 2 that really was not a good swag week unless you was a team from Alabama. So salute to the Alabama swag teams for picking up wins on Saturday. They were the only teams to win a game on Saturday. Only two teams who beat FCS opponent who were both SWAC opponents. So rough weekend for SWAC football. So everybody will bounce back next week and see what happens. But um, interesting game. This is my first time looking at really anything from any of these games today. So y'all gonna fly through this with me. Y'all, my reactions are gonna be my first time reactions to anything from most of these games, other than the general score that I saw Saturday when I was basically watching scoreboard at the Southern game. So with that being said, man, we'll go ahead and get into this Monday or Tuesday, depending on when the spreads drop for entertainment purposes only. We'll be dropping Wednesday week 3 preview, Thursday swag smoke live 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, and then then Sunday week 3 recap. So that's what we stand during the week. And so let's go ahead and get into it. We'll start off with the game that I picked to be the game of the week. In well, about 2.5 quarters. It was a really good game, and then it kind of got away. But Alabama State big 30-7 victors over Southern Hornets. Like I said, used the 17-7 third quarter to kind of pull away in this game. They scored first when Brandon Gilliam kicked a 37-yard field goal with 141 left in the first quarter. That made the score 3-0. Then as time expired in the second quarter, Gilliam got his second field goal today from 21 yards out to make the score 6-0. Southern would score with 10:31 left in the third quarter when Cam Jefferson caught a 7-yard pass from Cam McCoy. Extra point was good. 7-6 was the score there. Southern would fumble. Bama State get the ball. 8:57 left in the third. Marcus Harris the second 47-yard touchdown run. 13-7. 6:04 left in the third. Gilliam will get his third field goal of the night, this time from 31 yards out. Hornets up 16-7. 1:55 left in the third. Ajay Harrell, 6-yard pass from Andrew Body, extra point good, 23-7. And then with 7:25 left in the game, Dylan DeJake will get a 22-yard pass from Andrew Body, extra point good, 30-7. And that would be that. Game statistically was fairly even, but obviously, stats only carry so far. Bama State 21st down, Southern 18, 179 on the ground for Southern, 171 for the Hornets. Hornets ran the ball 32 times, 5.3 yards per run, one touchdown. Southern 179 on the ground, 37 carries, 4.8 yards per carry. Bama State 198 yards through the air, 16-25, 7.9 yards per attempt, 12.4 yards per completion, 2 touchdowns. Southern 160 through the air, 14-29, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Bama State 369 yards of offense on 57 plays, 6.5 yards per play, 3 fumbles. They lost 1. They had 8 penalties for 76 yards. Southern 339 total offense, 66 plays, 5.1 yard per play. They fumbled 3 times and lost 2. So 4 turnovers for Southern. It was a huge difference in this game. 9 penalties for 94 yards. 43-yard average on 3 punts for the Hornets. 36.7 on 3 punts for Southern. Bama State 30-minute, 24-second time possession. 4-10 on third downs. 0-1 on fourth down. 5-6 in the red zone. 1 sack. They made all 3 of the extra points, and they were 3 or 4 on field goals. Southern 29, 36 time of possession. 9 or 15 on third downs, 0-1 on fourth down, 1 or 2 on in the red zone, 2 sacks, and 1-1 on extra points, and 0-2 on field goals. Individually, Andrew Body 16-25, 198, 2 touchdowns, no interception, 2 sacks. Cam McCoy 14-29, 160 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 1 sack. Jamari Holzclaw led the Hornets with 14 carries for 52 yards. Average 3.7 yards per carry. Carl Legan, 8 carries, 49 yards. Harris had 1 for 47. Trey Holly had 15 carries for Southern for 70 yards. Average 4.7 yards per carry. McCoy, 11 for 55. And Franklin, 8 for 48. Harrell, 5 for 69 and a touchdown for the Hornets. DeJeet, 3 for 40. Jones, 3 for 32. Jefferson, 2 for 53 for Southern on a touchdown. Morris, 3 for 38. Rudy Jean Luis led the Hornets with 7 tackles. Also, Corey Lucius had 7 tackles. Jaleel Lenore had 2 tackles for loss to lead the Hornets. The sack was by Morris. Forced fumbles were by Lenore and Smith. Recoveries by Smith. He had both of them. Interceptions went to Patterson and Lewis. Southern was led by Horatio Johnson and Jerome Wallace with 9 tackles apiece. Givens, three tackles for loss and 2 sacks. Forced fumble was by Wallace. Recovery by Yassine. So Bama State, they, like I say, man, they kind of, had a kind of a slow start. Southern was right there with them for a while. Like I say, those 2 fumbles in the third quarter. Bama State was able to get 10 points off of those, and then tack on another touchdown after Southern couldn't move the ball anymore. They look better in the second half than they did in the first half. Southern kind of got progressively worse as the game went on offensively. No flow, no consistency, no real creativity to the play calling. But that's that. So we move on to our next game. All right, so that takes us to our next game, which is Alabama A&M Bulldogs picking up a big victory at home, 41-31 over Alcorn State. Uh, really, this was a game I didn't think would have as much scoring, and it was high scoring from the jump. Kind of slowed down in the second half with both teams basically scoring uh 14 and 13 points, but first half was like a track meet. I was very surprised at that. Bulldogs got on the board first when Jordan Smith Chambers caught a 19-yard pass from Quad Brown with 12:21 left in the first quarter, 7-0. Reggie Davis will get the Braves on the board with a 2-yard run with 9:40 left in the first quarter, tie the game up at 7. Uh, Devon Walker, 18-yard pass from Brown, 14-7. That came with 6:52 left in the first quarter, 14-7. Jacorian Sewell will get an 80-yard run for the Braves to tie the game up at 14 out of the extra point. 6:12 left in the first. 2:43 left in the first. Quad Brown had a 7-yard run, extra point good, 21-14 after one quarter. Second quarter, uh, Quad Brown another touchdown, this time from 8 yards out on the ground, 28-14. Brandon Wilcox will get the Braves on the board with a minute and 9 left in the first half with a 40-yard field goal, 28-17. 9:44 left in the third. Abner, 1-yard pass from Brown, 35-17. Reggie Davis will get his second touchdown for Alcorn with 7:49 left in the third with a 20-yard run. Extra point good, 35-24. And then Jarvis Rush will get an 18-yard pass from Jalen Tolbert with 10:30 left in the game to make the score 35-31 after the extra point. And then Maurice Edwards would get a 1-yard run with 19 seconds left in the game to make the score 41-31. So, like I said, really, really explosive first quarter. And then the game kind of settled in from there. And it was a much higher scoring game than I expected. Um, Definitely did not expect this offensive explosion from either team um, in terms of points. 21st down for the Braves, 23 for the Bulldogs. Alcorn 186 yards on the ground, 33 carries, 5.6 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. A&M 192 yards on the ground, 36 carries, 5.3 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. 168 yards passing for the Braves, 23 of 33, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. 260 yards passing for Alabama A&M, 25 of 34, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. 354 yards of offense for the Braves, 66 plays, 5.4 yards per play. And they had one fumble and lost it, 9 penalties for 70 yards. 452 yards for the Bulldogs on 70 plays, 6.5 yards per play. One fumble and they lost that. They had 10 penalties for 114 yards. 46-yard average on 3 punts for Alcorn, 45 on 5 punts for the Bulldogs. Alcorn 55 second time possession, 4-12 on third downs, 1-3 on fourth down, 4-5 in the red zone, no sacks. They made all 40 extra points, 1-2 on field goals. 29-05 for the Bulldogs, 8-14 on third downs, no fourth down attempts, 6-6 in the red zone, 1 sack. They were 5-5 on extra points. Tolbert, 23-33 for Alcorn, 168 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, no interceptions, 1 sack. Brown, big game for him, 25-34, 260 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks. Sewell, 12 carries, 115 yards, and a touchdown. Davis, 12 for 51 and 2 touchdowns. Uh, Edwards, 21 carries, 80 yards for the Bulldogs, 1 touchdown. Brown, 7 for 69 and 2 touchdowns. Rush, 7 catches, 53 yards for Alcorn and a touchdown. Warren, 4 for 48. Walker, 6 for 78 and a touchdown for the Bulldogs. Pierre, 6 for 60. Uh, Chambers Smith, 4 for 43 and a touchdown. Hinton led Alcorn with 11 tackles. Edwards with 10 tackles for loss. McLaurin had 1 to lead the team. Forced fumble was by Dudes. Fumble recovery by Ruffin. Bulldogs were led by Glenn with 9 tackles. Hanley with 8 tackles for loss. Hanley had 2 sacks. Williams and Booker each had half a sack apiece. Dixon had a forced fumble and he had a fumble recovery and no interceptions. So, like I said, this game offensively was definitely a surprise. I thought this game based not so much on A&M side because they had an FBS game, but Alcorn had such a rough first game. Wasn't quite sure how they would come together offensively, but they did a good job of trying to keep pace with A&M. But Quard Brown had a huge game, and really led the way for the Bulldogs as they pick up their first victory and their first victory at home. So that's a really good start for them as they move forward. Tarleton State jumped on Valley with a huge second quarter to win 59-3. They scored 7 points the first quarter, 24 in the second, and 28 in the third to take a 59-3 victory. Uh, Bryce Parker got the scoring started with a 17-yard pass from Victor Gabales with 11:04 left in the first quarter, 7-0. Caleb Lewis will get a 7-yard run for the Texans with 14:49 left in the second quarter, 14-0. Marco Javicic got a 19-yard field goal for Valley for 12:09, 14-3. Marquise Wills, 48-yard pass from Gabales, extra point good, 21-3. Brad Larson, 39-yard field goal for the Texans, 24-3. Dawson Heron, 4-yard pass from Gabales, 31-3. That would be our halftime score. Trevon West, 47-yard pass from Gabales, 38-3. Parker, 21-yard pass from Gabales, 45-3. Johnson, 12-yard pass from from Daniel Greek, extra point good, 52-3. And then Jaden Albert, 68-yard pick six to make the score 59-3. Basically, Texans took this one going away. 28 first downs for the Texans, 12 for Valley. 50 yards on the ground for Valley on 34 carries, 1.5 yard per carry. 153 yards on 33 plays for the Texans, 4.6 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. 194 yards passing for Valley, 14-29, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions. 307 yards for the Texans, 21-28, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. 244 for Valley total offense, 63 plays, 3.9 yards per play. 3 fumbles, they lost 2. They had 14 penalties, 134 yards. Texans, 460 yards on 61 plays, 7.5 yards per play. No fumbles. They had 6 penalties for 65 yards. Valley punted 7 times for 31-yard average. Texans punted once for a 38-yard average. Valley, 26-07 time possession, 3 of 15 on third downs, 0 for 1 on fourth down, 1 or 2 in the red zone, no sacks. No sacks. Obviously, no extra points, 1-on-1 on field goals. 29-03 time of possession for the Texans, 5 of 11 on third down, 0 for 3 on fourth down, 4 of 6 in the red zone. They had 4 sacks. They were 8 of 8 on extra points and 1 or 2 on field goals. Valley was led by Josh Brown, 10 of 19, 113 yards, no touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked 3 times. Brandon Nunez, 4 for 10 for 81 yards, no touchdown, 2 interceptions, 1 sack. Gabales, 20 or 27 for 295, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks. Greek, 101 for 12 yards and a touchdown. Norman Taylor led Valley with 4 carries for 13 yards. Joe Williams, 6 for 12. James Page, 10 for 61 to lead the Texans. D'Angelo Rosemond, 5 for 42. Joe Williams led Valley with 1 catch for 64 yards. Mekhi Norris, 3 for 60. Trevon West led the Texans with 6 catches, 135 yards, and a touchdown. Valley was led by Xavier Kennedy with 5 tackles. Dakari Cable, 2.5 tackles for loss. No sacks, no forced fumbles, no interceptions. The Texans were led by Bam Smith with 5 tackles. Angelo Anderson had 2 tackles for loss to lead the team. He also had 2 sacks and a forced fumble. Fumble recoveries went to Turrentine and Sterling. Interceptions were by Albert, Kearns, and Postel. So, like I said, the Texans are they came in this game hot and they stayed hot Valley didn't really have a chance in this game, outside of maybe early. And so they kind of, they kind of fell back down a little bit. So they had to kind of get back on the horse and see what's what. So um, not just, first road trip for them, tough place to play, tough team to play, and it kind of went against them a little bit. So we'll see how Valley bounces back. They can do they can get anything going moving forward because, like I said, it wasn't a good outing for them. Next up is Central Arkansas defeating Pine Bluff 41-17. Another game where, it was tight for a bit. Pine Bluff actually led this game 7-0 when Jalen Jennings had a 2-yard touchdown run. They went up 7-0 with 4:58 left in the first. Uh, Jalen Washington would immediately answer after a drive by the Bears with a 9-yard run. Extra point was no good, 7-6. Malachi Henry, 4-yard pass from Luther Richardson, 13-7 at the extra point. Ty Durham, 13-yard pass from Richardson, 20-7 with 5:22 left in the first half. Pine Bluff will get a Trey Glimpse field goal from 21 yards out, 20-10. That came with 40 seconds left in the half, and that will be our halftime score. Landon Chambers will get a 1-yard run for the Bears with 10:22 left in the third, 27-10. Luther Richardson, 1-yard run with 14:24 left in the game, 34-10. Tyrell Pollard will get a 33-yard pass from Richardson, uh, 41-10. And then Kareem Burke will get a 42-yard pass from Christian Peters, extra point good, 7:52 left in the game, 41-17. Pine Bluff 12 first downs, the Bears 32, 44 yards on the ground for Pine Bluff on 22 carries, 2 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. 318 on the ground for UCA, 53 plays, 6 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. Pine Bluff 228 through the air, 18-36, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. 296 through the air for the Bears, 21-29, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. 272 total offense for the Golden Lions, 58 plays, 4.7 yards per play, no fumbles. They had 5 penalties for 33 yards, 614 yards for the Bears, 82 plays, 7.5 yards per play, 2 fumbles. They lost both. 6 penalties for 40 yards. So they had 3 turnovers in this game. This game probably could have been even worse when you look at how it turned out. So I guess maybe Pine Bluff dodged the bullet though because of those turnovers. 6 punts for Pine Bluff, 43.7-yard average. No punts for the Bears. So the only reason they did not score was those 3 turnovers. 22-minute, 53-second time possession for Pine Bluff, 7-16. No, 0 for 1 on 4th down, 2 or 2 in the red zone, no sacks. They made both the extra points. They made 1 or 2 field goals. 37-07 for the Bears. Time of possession, 8 or 12 on 3rd down, 2 or 3 on 4th down, 5 or 6 in the red zone. They had 3 sacks. They were 5 or 6 on extra points. No field goals attempted. Christian Peters, 18-36 for Pine Bluff, 228 yards, 1 touchdown, no interception, 3 sacks. Luther Richardson, 18-25, 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, no sacks. Caleb Kroger, 3 of 3 for 13 yards. Zamarion Weber led the Golden Lions with 11 carries for 53 yards. Chambers, 14 for 106. Richardson, 11 for 82. They both had touchdowns. Avery Robinson, 5 catches for Pine Bluff for 60 yards. Jordan Jackson, 5 for 56. Chris Hicks, 3 for 53. Burke had 1 for 42 and a touchdown. Henry, 7 for 82 and a touchdown. Durham, 4 for 75 and a touchdown. Nail Johnson led Pine Bluff with 9 tackles. Quentin Sterling had 8 tackles for loss. Mingo and Jenkins each had 1. Forced fumbles were by Keller and Hilliard. Recoveries by Moore and Johnson. Interception was by Keller, who returned it for 51 yards. Central was led by Ramon Jones with 7. Kyle Vogt, who played for Pine Bluff last year, he had 6 tackles against his old team. Uh, Parker, Lewis, Shepard, Washington, and Shell, and Ramon Jones each had a tackle for loss. Parker, Lewis, and Shell each had a sack. And so, like I said, this game could have been worse. It really could have been worse. Like I said, 3 turnovers for UCA and a turnover on down. So basically 4 turnovers kind of went against them in that aspect, but they dominated this game as a whole. Pine Bluff really no answers. Um, so we'll see, we'll see where they go moving forward. As they try to work some things out. Next up is Prairie View taking on UT RGV. Um, the Vaqueros will get a 27-21 victory over the Panthers. Um, UTR, as the stat sheet calls them, got a 16-yard pass from Eddie Lee Marburger to Tony Diaz to take a 7-0 lead with 10:50 left in the first quarter. Bryson Gardner will get a 49-yard field goal for UTR to make it score 10-0. They came with 6:26 left in the first quarter, and then with 2:04 left in the first, TJ Dement had a 21-yard run. So just that quick, they were up 17-0. Prairie View will answer back on a Cam Peters 1-yard run with 6:03 left in the first half, 17-7. Uh, then Gardner will get a 40-yard field goal with 4:07 left in the first half to make it score 20-7. 8:04 left in the third quarter. Tevin Carter will get a 1-yard run for the Panthers. Extra point good, 20-14. And then Carter will get another touchdown, this time from 3 yards out. Extra point good, 21-20 with 13 minutes left in the game. 2:21 left in the game. Nathan Denny, 7-yard run. Extra point good, 27-21. Prairie View couldn't answer that, and that would be our final score. UTRGV, 24 first downs, Prairie View 15, 145 yards on the ground for UTRGV. They had 35 attempts, 4.1 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. Prairie View, 163 yards on the ground, 38 carries, 4.3 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. 263 through the air for the Vaqueros, 19 of 31, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. 137 through the air for the Panthers, 15 of 27, no touchdowns, no interceptions. 408 yards of offense, 66 plays, 6.2 yards per play, 2 fumbles, no loss, fumbles, 7 penalties, 76 yards for the Vaqueros. Panthers, 300 yards, 65 plays, 4.6 yards per play. They had 1 fumble and lost it. They had 9 penalties for 74 yards. Vaqueros, 6 punts, 37-yard average. Panthers, 6 for 43.8. 28-41 time possession for Vaqueros, 2 of 11 on third down, 1 of 1 on fourth down, 3 of 4 in the red zone. No sacks. They had 3 on extra points, no 2-point conversions, 2 of 3 on field goals. Panthers, 31 of 49, 31 minutes, 19 seconds, 4 of 15 on third down, 2 of 4 on fourth down, 3 of 4 in the red zone. They had 2 sacks. They were 3 of 3 extra points, no 2-point conversions, no field goals attempted. Individually, Eddie Lee Marburger for UTRGV, 19 of 31, 263 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 2 sacks. Peters, 8 for 16 for Prairie for 64 yards, no touchdown, no interception, no sacks. Carter, 6 of 10 for 48 yards, no touchdown, no interception, no sacks. Nathan Denny, 23 carries, 101 yards, and 1 touchdown for the Vaqueros to lead them. Chase Bingman, 16 for 88, uh, no touchdowns. Carter, 11 for 53 and 11 for 50 and 2 touchdowns. Tony Diaz, 6 for 121 and a touchdown. Josiah Rockwell, 7 for 98 to lead the Panthers. Jaden Haygood, 11 tackles. Spencer Rich, 11 tackles. Tackle for loss. Thompson and Saeed Smith and Prosser each had 1 tackle for loss apiece. No sacks. No 1 forced fumble was by Prosser, and the recovery was by Graham. No interceptions. Panthers were led on defense by Kennedy Parker with 10 tackles. Sterling Roberts had 9. Tackle loss Parker with 2. Randall had 1 sack to lead the defense. No forced fumbles, no fumble recoveries, no interceptions. I think this actually was a game that Prairie View let get away from them. They did not necessarily play great, but I think they gave themselves a chance in this game. Ultimately giving up a late score, and I thought that last possession that they had really wasn't the best. I think they could have had a more productive final drive, which they ultimately ended up fumbling. But it is what it is. Um, UTRGV solid team so far for their first couple games. Um, but I still think this was a game Prairie View should have won. Um, Obviously back to the drawing board for the Panthers, and we'll see where they go from here. Next up, as we move into our FBS portion of the show, and this is gonna be quick for most of these games because a lot of these games were very ugly. So we're not gonna waste a lot of time on them. At least not going super in depth. Um, but Cal and TSU was a game that was a whole lot closer than I expected, especially in the first half. This game was 3-0 for a long time. Basically, it was 3-0 until almost the end of the first half. Abram Murray got the Bears on the board first with a 44-yard field goal. That came with 11:37 left in the first quarter, and then they would not score again until 119 left in the second quarter when Deron uh, Saga Sagapulitili will get an 11-yard, will get a 1-yard run. They went for 2 and made it 11 to nothing. Uh, that would be our halftime score. Kendrick Raphael had a 1-yard run for the Bears. Extra point good, 18 to nothing. And then L.J. Johnson will get a 12-yard run for the Bears with 5:27 left in the third, 25 nothing. Christian Avalar will get the Tigers on the board with 13:58 left in the game with a 39-yard field goal, 25-3. Chase Meyer will get a 43-yard field goal for the Bears. Um, that will make the score 28-3. They came with 10:18 left in the game, and then with 3:09 left in the game, Jaden Dixonville caught a 14-yard pass from Devin Brown to make the score 35-3. So honestly, like I said, this was a much tighter game than I expected. Um, Not a lot of offense for TSU in this game. Um, Couple of Cal turnovers, but the Tigers, they held tough. They had 13 first downs, 22 for the Bears. TSU 52 yards on the ground, 22 carries, 2.4 yards per carry, no touchdowns. 181 on the ground for the Bears, 34 carries, 5.3 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. 140 yards passing for Texas Southern, 20 of 31, no touchdown, 1 interception. Uh, 286 through the air for the Bears, 28 of 39, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. 192 yards of offense for TSU, 58 plays, 3.3 yards per play, no fumbles, 10 penalties, 75 yards. 467 total offense for the Bears, 73 plays, 6.4 yards per play. They had 2 fumbles, lost 1, 7 penalties, 81 yards. Um, TSU punted 10 times for a 35-yard average. Uh, 2 punts for the Bears for 47.5-yard average. 28-22 time of possession, 3 of 14 for TSU. Didn't attempt a fourth down, 101 in the red zone. They did have 1 sack, no extra points attempted, and 1 field goal made. 31-38 time possession for the Bears, 6 of 12 on third down, 1 of 2 on fourth down, 5 of 5 in the red zone. They had 2 sacks, 3 of 3 on extra points, 2 of 2 on field goals. They were led individually by KJ Cooper had 19 of 35, passed 137 yards, 1 interception, 2 sacks. Uh, Jerron Sagaputili, 26 of 37, 259 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 sack. Cooper had 7 carries for 30 yards for TSU. Kendrick Raphael had 18 for 131 for the Bears and a touchdown. Jalen Williams led the Tigers with 6 catches for 42 yards. Mark Hamper had 5 for 69 for the Bears. Jacob De Jesus, 5 for 61. Isaiah Bargady led TSU with 10 tackles. Matthew Cooks had 9 tackles for loss. Patterson had 2 to lead the defense. He also had the 1 sack. Uh, Cooks had a forced fumble recovery by Akins. The interception was by Whitley. Hale was led by Luke Borelli with 11 tackles. Isaiah Crosby had 9. Uh, McCullough, Smith, Bush, and Kennedy each had 1 tackle for loss apiece. McCullough and Bush each had sacks. No forced fumbles. Interception was by Masses, which he returned for 28 yards. So, like I said, I thought TSU played a pretty solid game in this game. Ultimately, I don't know how much of it was, you know, them, kind of just being, kind of being a kind of a roadblock, or how much of it was them really, kind of going out and getting after these guys. But I thought, 35-3 is honestly not really bad, especially when you had a 11-0 first quarter, 8-3 nothing first quarter for first half for basically the whole bulk of the first half. So I thought they represented themselves well, especially in the first half. Would have liked to seen a little bit more offense out of them, but you take what you get in these kind of games. So ultimately, you just move on to your next one. Um, Next up is Southern Miss and Jackson State. The Eagles pull this one out 38-20. This is one I'm actually gonna go back and probably watch this afternoon. I'll try to keep up with it on the phone, but probably try to go back and watch this one and see what was what. A 14-3 first quarter honestly probably was the difference in this game for Southern Miss. They scored 2 first quarter touchdowns. Zach Ruffin got a 30-yard punt return for USM to take a 7-0 lead with 12:06 left in the first. Gerardo Baszler will get Jackson State on the board with a 46-yard field goal with 4:45 left in the first. They'll make the score 7-3. Braylon Brown, 8-yard pass Braylon uh, Braxton, 14-3 with 23 seconds left in the first quarter. Mari Matthews, 21-yard run for Jackson State, 14-10, 13-16 left in the first half. Reed Harradine, 35-yard field goal for the Eagles, 17-10. That would be our halftime score. Micah Davis, 15-yard pass from Braxton with 5:29 left in the third. They may score 24-10. Caden Morris, 10-yard pass from Braxton, extra point good. They came with 14:54 left in the game, 31-10. Baszler, 40-yard field goal for Jackson State with 13:24 left in the game, 31-13. With 9:59 left in the game, Robert Briggs Jr., 15-yard run, 38-20. And then Amar Miller, 8-yard run for Jackson State with 5:32 left in the game, 38-20. Jackson State finished with 19 first downs, Eagles 25. 191 on the ground for Jackson State. Good game running the ball for them. 42 carries, 4.5 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, 139 for the Eagles, 36 carries, 3.9 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. 131 for Jackson State through the air, 14-28, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 224 through the air for Southern Miss, 22-32, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jackson State 322 yards of offense, 70 plays, 426 yards per play. No fumbles. They have 12 penalties for 87 yards. One thing I noticed is in these games this week, most teams were highly penalized. I think that's something that everybody's gonna have to clean up. 363 yards for Southern Miss, 68 plays, 5.3 yards per play, no fumbles. They had 4 penalties, 43 yards. Jackson State punted 5 times for a 25-yard average. 3 points for Southern Miss for a 39-yard average. 31-15 time of possession for Jackson State, 5 of 16 on third down, 101 on fourth down, 101 in the red zone, 2 sacks. They had 2 of 2 on extra points and 2 of 2 on field goals. 28-45 time of possession for the Eagles, 4 of 11 on third down. No fourth down attempts. 5 of 5 in the red zone, 3 sacks, 5 of 5 on extra points, and 1 of 3 on field goals. Individually, Jacoby and Morgan, 14 of 27, 131 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, 3 sacks. Stouffer had an interception, 0 for 1. Braxton, 20 of 30 for 214 yards and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 2 sacks. Terrell, 10 carries, 80 yards for Jackson State, averaged 8 yards per carry with a longer 47. Jeffrey Pittman, 10 carries, 71 yards for the Eagles, 7.1 yard per carry. Nathan Rembert, 4 for 64 for Jackson State. Brown, 3 for 52 and a touchdown. Metcalf, 5 for 45. Chester, 3 for 40. Quincy Ivory, 10 tackles to lead Jackson State. BJ Washington, 9. Ivory, 1.5 tackle for loss and 1 sack. Another strong game for him. Strong back-to-back game for him. Coming off of that huge game he had against Hampton. No forced fumbles, no interceptions. Southern Miss was led by Michael Montgomery with 8 tackles. Josh Moden and Matthias Haygood each had 6, along with Josh Battle and Chris Jones. They each had 6 tackles. Ponder, 2 tackles for loss. Ponder, Battle, and Haygood each had a sack. No forced fumbles. Interceptions went to Caswell and Foster. And so, like I said, this little game, Jackson State was, they kind of got off to a bit of a slow start, but they were able to maintain and kind of keep themselves in the game. A few plays here and now could have tightened the margin up some, but this is still a front running team in the SWAC, so not a lot to really take away or lose from this game. As my cats try to take over the screen. Um, Next up, we have Florida A&M taking on Florida Atlantic. Owls 56-14 won those over the Rattlers. Huge first half for FAU. Basically blew this game out of the water early. As they went into the half with a 39-0 lead. FAMU would get 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, one from RJ Johnson, 2 Jamar Taylor for 27 yards. That made it score 39-7, and then Jordan Edwards would get a 65-yard pass from RJ Johnson to make it score 46-14. The Owls would score 17 points in the third quarter. They would score 17 points in the fourth quarter to basically kind of take this game from 39-7 to 56-14. So not, FAMU kind of came around in the second half, but like I said, that big first half did them in. Johnson, 18 of 20. Oh, excuse me. Go back to the team stats. 16 first downs for the Rattlers, 34 for FAU. 69 yards on the ground for FAMU, 30 carries, 2.3 yards per carry. 193 on the ground for Owls, 34 carries, 5.7 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. 227 through the air for the Rattlers, 19 of 35. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. 360 through the air for the Owls, 29 of 40, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. 296 total offense for the Rattlers, 65 plays, 4.6 yards per play. They fumbled 3 times and didn't lose any. They had 6 penalties for 52 yards, 553 yards for the Owls, 79 plays, 7 yards per play, 2 fumbles, didn't lose them, 2 penalties for 15 yards. Wow. 8 punts for 38-yard average for the Rattlers, 3 for 47 for the Owls. 30-15 time of possession for the Rattlers, 5 of 16 on third down, 1 or 2 on fourth down. 0 for 1 in the red zone. They had 1 sack, 2 or 2 on extra points, and they were 0 for 1 on field goals. 29-45 time of possession for the Owls, 5 of 13 on third down, 3 or 3 on fourth down, 6 or 6 in the red zone. They had 2 sacks. They were 6 or 6 on extra points and 2 or 2 on field goals. Johnson, 18 of 28 passing, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interception, 2 sacks. Caden Beltcamp, 27 of 39, 309 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interception. He was sacked once. Thad Franklin, 11 for 58 for the Rattlers. Jamari Sands, 10 carries, 83 yards for the Owls. Jordan Edwards, 2 for 72 and a touchdown for the Rattlers. Easton Messer, 4 for 62. Jashawn Platt, 5 for 56. Assad Wasim, 4 for 55 and 2 touchdowns. Jason Rawls led the Rattlers with 11 tackles. Norris and Thomas each had 6. Tackle for loss leader was Kamon, Norris, and Gardner Jr. with 1 each. Kamon had the sack. Forced fumbles went to Rawls and Davis. No interception, no fumble recoveries. Horton led the Owls with 5 tackles along with Keys and Stolsky. They all had 5 tackles. Uh, Denard, Hart, and Reed. Denard, Hart, Reed, and Horton each had a tackle for loss. Denard and Hart each had a sack. Hart had a forced fumble. No fumble recoveries, no interceptions. Big, like I said, big first half was the difference in this game, but nice second half for RJ Johnson as he continued to kind of grow in this role. So we'll see, see how he does moving forward. Um, because I mean, a young guy with no real experience in college, so you gotta let him learn, and this is what trial by fire. So um, he should, as long as they commit to him, he should get better as he plays. I mean, he needs the reps, and I mean, I know you don't want to go down with the ship, but as long as the car is still kind of on the road, you gotta let him keep driving. So, you don't you didn't really drive your car the best when you first got behind the wheel, so you got to give him opportunity to kind of develop. So I think that's the road, that's the route that Coach Cozy is taking with him. So we'll see, how they continue to go as they move forward. Next game is Miami defeated Bethune Cookman by a score of 45-3. Um, this was another game that was kind of a big margin early. Uh, um, Hurricanes led 14-0 after the first quarter. They led 28-3 at the half. As fam, as Bethune Cookman got a field goal with 3:08 left in the second quarter. Four Miami first half touchdowns was basically the difference. Second half, all Hurricanes, they scored 17 points in the second half. Uh, two touchdowns and a field goal. So didn't really, they didn't really just go in on Bethune Cookman, so they kind of got in and got out. Um, kind of wondered how Miami would play this game coming off of that Notre Dame victory, but they did what they needed to do. 14 first downs for the Wildcats, 31 for the U. Now 92 yards on the ground for the Wildcats, 33 plays, 2.8 yards per carry, no touchdowns. 199 on the ground for Miami, 30 carries, 6.6 yards per carry, four touchdowns. 99 yards passing for Bethune Cookman, 14 to 18, no touchdowns, one interception. 344 through the air for Miami, 30 or 36, two touchdowns, no interceptions. Um, 191 total offense for the Wildcats, 51 plays, 3.7 yards per play, one fumble. They lost it. They had two penalties for 20 yards. 543 total offense for the Hurricanes, 66 plays, 8.2 yards per play. They did fumble once, didn't lose it. They had four penalties for 50 yards. Bethune Cookman punted four times for a 41-yard average. Miami did not punt. Uh, 31-55 time of possession for the Wildcats, 1 of 11 on third down, 0 for 1 on fourth down, 1 or 2 in the red zone. They did have two sacks. They obviously did not attempt an extra point, and they had 1 or 1 on field goals. Miami, 4 or 6 on third down, 0 for 1 on fourth down, 5 or 5 in the red zone. They had one sack as well. 6 or 6 on extra points, 1 on 1 on field goals. Uh, Timmy McClain, 13 or 16 for the Wildcats, 86 yards. No touchdown, no interception, one sack. He appears to be QB1 now. He played the bulk of the FIU game, and he played the bulk of this game. So we'll see how that goes moving forward. Carson Beck for Miami, 22 or 24, 267 yards. No touchdown. I mean, 267 yards, two touchdowns, no interception, no sacks. Ransom did have 5 carries for 39 yards. Kamari Robinson, 9 for 38. Mark Fletcher, 11 carries for Miami, 86 yards, two touchdowns. Javon Ross, 4 catches, 22 yards to lead the Wildcats. Josh Evans, 1 for 21. Malachi Tony, 6 catches for Miami, 80 yards. CJ Daniels, 5 for 73 and 2 touchdowns as he is on his third school. Dude's bouncing around like crazy. Steven Sparrow, 9 tackles. Gabe White, 9 tackles. Antoine Watts with 7. Tackle for loss. Clark and Sparrow each had 1 to lead the defense. They both had 1 sack apiece to lead the defense. Clark had a forced fumble. No fumble recovery, no interceptions. Miami was led by Kellen Riley with 5 tackles. Also, Toure and Lightfoot each had 4 tackles apiece. Scott had 3 tackles for loss. Sack was by Ruben Bain. He also had a forced fumble, and recovery was by Smith. Interception was by Fitzgerald. So, like I said, this was definitely one of those ones that could have probably really got out of hand, but ultimately, Miami kind of kept it close to the vest. They basically got all their stuff in and then got out. So, nothing major happened one way or the other. But Bethune Cookman, um, back to the drawing board like the rest of us this week for the most part, and we'll see how they go moving forward. Last game, Ohio State all over Grambling, 78-0. Um, balanced quarters in this game for Ohio State. 21 in the first quarter, 14 second, 21 in third, 14 in the fourth. So I mean, they did whatever they wanted to. Grambling had an opportunity to score on a field goal. They missed it. Ohio State immediately drove down and scored. Grambling also did get an interception in this game, but not a lot there for them. Um, but nice check. So um, that's pretty much what you take from it. Grambling 10 first downs. Ohio State 32. Grambling 94 yards on the ground, 33 attempts, 2.8 yards per carry, no touchdown. 274 on the ground for Ohio State, 38 plays, 7.2 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns. Uh, Grambling 72 yards through the air, 11 to 21, 11 to 22, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Ohio State 377 through the air, 24-28, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, 166 yards. Offense for Grambling, 55 plays, 3 yards per play. They fumbled twice and lost them both. They had 6 penalties for 40 yards. Um, 651 yards of offense for the Buckeyes, 66 plays, 9.9 yards per play. One fumble, didn't lose it, 3 penalties for 15 yards. Grambling punted 7 times for a 41-yard average. Ohio State punted once for 45. Grambling 29-05, time of possession 3 of 14 on third down, 101 on fourth down, 0 for 1 in the red zone. No sacks, no PATs. They were 0 for 1 on field goals. 30 minutes, 55 seconds for Ohio State, 5 of 7 on third down, 101 on fourth down, 7 of 8 in the red zone. They had two sacks, 10 of 10 on extra points, didn't attempt a field goal. T set 19 of 15 for Grambling, 9 of 15 for Grambling, 55 yards, no touchdown, 1 interception, 1 sack. Ashton Fry was 2 of 7 for 17 yards and a sack. Julian Sayin was 18 of 19 for the Buckeyes, 306 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was not sacked. Andre Cruz, 5 for 38 for Grambling to lead them. Bo Jackson, 9 of 108 as he stepped out of time machine for Ohio State. They had 1 touchdown, average 12 yards per carry. Real Tecmo Bowl numbers there. Keith Jones led Grambling with 2 catches for 19 yards. Tyson George, 2 for 16. Cavotis Knighton, 3 for 13. Jeremiah Smith, 5 for 119 and 2 touchdowns. Carnell Tate, 5 for 69 and a touchdown. Jelani Thurman, 3 for 44 and a touchdown. Will Kamarek, 2 for 55 and a touchdown. Quentin Talley led Grambling with 6 tackles. Tyrell Raby had 6 tackles. Also, Christian Williams had 5 tackles. Tackle for loss. Sykes and Washington each had a half a tackle for loss. No sacks, no forced fumbles. Interception went to Raby. Ohio State was led by Peyton Pierce with 4 tackles. Excuse me, with 6 tackles. Reese, McClain, and Curry each had 4 tackles apiece. Curry had 2 tackles for loss and a sack. Also, Grady had a sack. Forced fumble by McDonald and Pettyjohn. Pettyjohn had a fumble recovery. Also, Citinelli had a fumble recovery. An interception went to Downs. So, I mean, this is basically, it kind of what you expected. Not a lot of positivity for Grambling in this game, but you got paid and you survived. So, you move on to your next game and just see what's what. Let's take a look at the upcoming schedule for this week. Week 3, Southern is at Fresno State. Tuskegee at Jackson State, Alabama A&M at Tennessee State, Alcorn at Mississippi State, Miles at Alabama State, Bethune-Cookman at South Carolina State, Kentucky State at Grambling, Valley at Southeastern, Prairie View at Rice, Lamar at Texas Southern, Albany State at Florida A&M, and Lincoln is at Pine Bluff. So a lot. We continue our non-conference slate probably for the next 2 weeks. Conference play basically begins on the 27th. So we have a couple FBS games. We have some D2 games in there. Um, it's just a mix. So like I said, we'll be back on Wednesday to preview these games. Monday or Tuesday, for entertainment purposes only. SWAC Smoke Thursday, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, and Sunday is our week 3 recap. So with that being said, man, I'm your tour guide, signing out. Catch y'all on the rebound. Peace.